to ask y'all something. We want to move forward because we know you don't want to listen to me. This barn, what do we think about it? This venue, is it not gorgeous? I mean, we are very blessed to have this, and I want to give a huge shout out to the owners for their generosity in giving us this space today. Doug Filipponi and his wife Kathy are in the house, as is Rob Rossi, I believe. I don't know if his wife is here, and the Whitstroms. Thank you so much. You're good conservative people, and we love you. I love you. Oh my God, thank you. I'd also like to, I gotta put my glasses on, sorry everybody. I'm human and I'm old. I'd like to send out a huge thank you to the Paso printers and the floral parlor for their contributions. They did our lovely flowers, they did flyers for us. We made this happen, they helped us get it done. I also want to thank and recognize, a few people. I needed a podium. We didn't want to spend the money. To recognize, I didn't want to spend the money. Yes, Brad. Just a few minutes to recognize a few people, if you don't mind, for the committee who helped us get this put together. I want you to stand. Susie, Judy, Anita, Darla, and Lynette, please. These women made it happen. There's Lynette. Where's Darla? And Anita. There you go. I also want to thank and recognize just a few others, so if you'll be patient. First, I said the committee, I'm sorry. And also I drove up here at 10:20. This place was flooded, not only with the committee, but with members who were working to make this event special. I was one of the last ones here. I felt terrible. Thank you all. Our check-in ladies, our cleanup, our setup, everybody. We also have a few people to recognize. We are honored to have, I don't know where he's at, but he's here, the Paso Robles Mayor, John Hammond, and his lovely wife, Marjorie, who happens to be our treasurer, Steve Gregory, and his lovely wife, Dawn. I want you to know they're all, even the gentlemen, are part of our organization. You too can be a member, just saying. We have very honored to have retired Supervisor Debbie Arnold and her husband Steve. I don't know where she's at. Wave your hand. There she is. She's standing there with her wine. Good woman. And the chairman of the Paso Robles, San Luis Obispo, Randall Jordan, and his wife Mary. They're over here. Thank you, Randall. He really helped us out. He's gonna be a part of this program too. Be prepared. Also here are members of our sister Republican women organizations, including the president of South Monterey County, Kathy Forgoni. We also have members. This is special to have our sister companies here, or our sister organizations here. It really says a lot about the organizations up here. Tascadero, Westlake Village, South Bay, Estero Bay, and our own Sissy Pace, who's our regional director of the California Republican Women. She's here somewhere too. Finally, last thing, if you are interested in becoming a member, please feel free to ask any one of these women that are member. We have these badges on. Liz, stand up. That's our membership chairman. She's looking to sign you up. Gentlemen are always included, just letting you know. We're more than just a bunch of women who sit around and drink wine and gossip, I have to tell you. I've heard the rumors, my brother over there. I've heard them. We might sit around and drink wine, but why we're doing that, we're at school board meetings, we're at board of supervisors meetings, we're at city council meetings. We show up, we stand up, we support the young women in our community, we support the values that we hold dear. I don't know what else to say, I didn't write that in here. So, finally, our general meetings are held at the Belisara Hotel on the second Monday of the month. Check out our website, take a picture. There's our website. Go on there, see who we have talking. Also, Shannon Kessler's here. There she is. Give a big wave with the hand. She is running for California Assembly District 30. Yes, got it. Okay. So, with no further ado, here comes, no, not Mr. Hilton. Here comes Shelley Gill.
I know you're all disappointed. Thank you, Donnell. Thank you, everybody. So I don't want to take a long introduction here. We all know who's speaking, and I just want to say it's my honor and my pleasure to introduce our Republican governor candidate, Mr. Steve Hilton. Will you come up here, please? Please join me in giving a Paso Robles welcome to Steve Hilton.
Am I on? You are. Is it now? Okay, very good. I like the way you do things up here. It's beautiful. Oh my gosh. So I gotta tell you, I know, and please believe me when I say, I don't say this everywhere I go. You might, oh, he says that to all the ladies and all the places. It really is one of my favorite parts of the state, this place. And long before I was running for governor, we used to come here. So we live in the Bay Area, and I guess it was when the boys were very little, so maybe even 10 years ago, we had an Easter break, and we came down to Cambria. And we had a wonderful Easter in Cambria, and we stayed on one of those little places on Moonstone Beach. And I remember, it was one of my great joys. You know, you have these lovely memories as a parent, and I did a little Easter egg hunt on the beach. And I hid all the eggs, and there was the driftwood, and the boys were running around. It was just such a special place. And then we came back a few times, and we discovered, now they're teenage boys, right? So boys very active, of course. We got to keep them active. Like dogs, right? You've got a lot of exercise and food is the key. And so we went, we discovered, really accidentally, the amazing dunes by Morro Bay. So Los Osos around there. And you go to, I just saw them. I thought, that looks fun. And we kind of found our way there, and we parked right there where the, the butterfly sanctuary is. And we walked through, that was amazing, just to see those beautiful trees, and then we found our way to the dunes, and there's all these local kids there with bits of cardboard, sliding down the sand dunes, like really steep. It's so fun. Have anyone done that? It's so fun. Really tall, like really steep, but it's totally safe, because at the end you just run into the sand. It's literally like the perfect activity for, high energy boys. So we did that time, and then we came back and we stayed here, and we've been to Sensorio, that amazing thing. It really is a very special place to me. It really is. This morning when we woke up, I'd had a radio interview, and where's Eric? I can't remember. My colleague Eric's around there, and he and as soon as I was finished, I said, we got to go and I want to show you. What did I say? I'll show you this place. And we just drove out. We didn't have time to get to the dunes, but I made a little video. Which, is it out yet? The Morro Bay one. So I think you'll like this part. So I made a little video, because one of the things that I like to show people our beautiful state, and just show, because not everyone has the chance, like I do, to see our amazing state and all the different parts of it. But I did add a little bit of politics. So I made a wonderful video showing them the beautiful bay. And there's Morro Rock, and there's the state park, Montana, all of that. And I said, and guess what the Democrats are planning to do to this amazing place? Ruin it with these giant, ridiculous windmills. And I said, these giant industrialized windmills, and I just said, no way. When I'm governor, I will kill those windmills. If I could just say, I think, what's the appropriate term? Dead in the water. Those windmills will be dead in the water. I mean, what is wrong with these people? By the way, at the same time as they want to industrialize one of the most magnificent and beautiful parts of our coastline, they're sort of dead against the oil drilling down in Santa Barbara that's been there for years is perfectly fine. Everyone's happy with it, and they're stopping that. We got abundant oil reserves that they want to leave there, even though it's now seeping out of the ground, damaging the environment. Exactly. No, you're right. It damages. So they instead import oil from halfway around the world on giant super tankers, and then because that doesn't work enough, they're shutting down our natural gas-fired power stations, even though we have abundant natural gas in California, in order to have these ridiculous windmills. And then Humboldt, they're talking, I don't know which ones they're talking about here, the Humboldt ones, they're talking about windmills that are 1,000 feet tall. Is that the same? Okay. You know that's the height of the Eiffel Tower. Are they going to be floating here? I mean, what is wrong with these people? It's completely insane. There's so much wrong with our state. Sorry, I didn't mean to go straight into this. Anyway, I want to have a little bit of a warm-up, but you got me going now on all this stuff. And the thing is that when you look at, of course, everything's a disaster, and the homelessness and crime and the taxes, the regulations, everything. You know that movie not long ago, Everything Everywhere All at Once. That's how you can explain how they've messed up California. Everything everywhere all at once, messed up. So there's a lot of things gone wrong, and I'm going to tell you how we're going to put it right. But actually, when I think about it, the most insane of all of their policies has got to be this energy policy. Don't you think? Yeah. So in the name of climate, they're now shipping in oil from halfway around the world on giant super tankers, spewing out carbon emissions. Instead of drilling it in Kern County, where I was 2 days ago in Bakersfield, and sending it in a nice clean pipeline. Oh, that's way too sensible. No, let's go to a Middle Eastern country with a terrible environmental record and human rights record, and then put it on these giant super tankers running on bunker fuel. Make it doesn't, and leave it in the ground here in California, destroying jobs and opportunity here, and making it way more expensive. And then because it's a different type of crude oil, it doesn't work with the refineries here in California, so the refineries closed down. So we have 5, 6, 7. I met the guy yesterday. I spoke to an oil industry group in the morning in San Diego. I met the actual guy who did the calculation at USC, the energy economist, who predicts that we will have $8 gas in California. Thanks a lot, Gavin Newsom. And now he's trying to blame the president and the Iran war. Honestly, it's just shameless, isn't it? There's something wrong with Gavin Newsom. Anyway, we'll get to that. What's that? That's the start, exactly. Gavin Newsom, honestly. Well, I've got a different one. So maybe some of you heard me say this joke. So we all know how the president ran. Great to see you, Sean, by the way. It's lovely to see you. How's it going? Oh, I'm sorry. We met a couple of months ago. We got the Save Girl Sports. Yes, we are going to save girl sports. And you did my podcast, and I'm really happy to see you. So we all know the president ran in 2016, very famous, MAGA. We all know what that stands for. So here's Gavin Newsom's version that he's going to run. This I invented this. I've seen now people making memes of this online, but it was my idea. I don't care. Everyone can use it. Gavin Newsom, he will be running as Mugger, the most useless governor in America. If he's honest. That's how he would run. If he's honest, of course he's not. He's the most dishonest. I mean, I just don't know where to start with this guy. I mean, it's just every single day on this ridiculous book tour, it just gets worse and worse. Book tour, it's a crook tour. What he's done to our state is criminal, right? Yep. Okay, I don't know. What shall I do? Tell you the plan. How about that? I tell you what I really want to do. Because we just got here and I don't know what your timing is. Lunch or how's it going to work? Oh, you're done with that? Okay, amazing. No, okay, great. I'm taken care of. And I had a wonderful time with Doug. We made a great video about down there with the Greys. Anyway, I love questions and answers. Do we have time for that, or should I stop now and get into that?
You got another 5-10 minutes, and then we can start questions.
Great. Okay, I'm going to do a very quick thing then, and tell you, I suppose, the most important thing, which is how are we going to win? Right? How are we going to win? So here's how I see it. This is our best shot in at least 20 years to take back our state of California. We've got a few good things going for us this year. Number one, the mess they've made of everything, people have had enough. It really is, people are saying enough is enough. Not just Republicans, right across the state. We're done with these people. 16 years of one-party rule. The worst results of any state. Highest poverty rate, highest unemployment rate, highest cost of living. US News and World Report, we are 50th out of 50 states for opportunity. Wallet Hub, 50th out of 50 for affordability. Chief Executive Magazine, 50th out of 50 for business climate. California, the worst of the country for a business climate. We're supposed to be the home of enterprise for opportunity. This is the California dream that they're crushing. So it's a disaster, and people are realizing. So even if you compare today to the last governor's race, 2022, and you look at that basic question that the political people ask, which is, that determines whether this will be a change election, where we kick out the people in power. That the question that really tells you the answer to that is the polling question they ask: is the state or the country or whatever going in the right direction or the wrong direction? Now, back 4 years ago, the last governor's race, it was 50-50. Now, I don't know who the 50%, even 4 years ago, was looking pretty bad. But whatever, it's 50-50. Now, it's gone very negatively against the Democrats. 65%, 67% wrong direction. So, to put it this way, there is a majority for change in California. There is a majority for change. So that's our opportunity. Next, if you look at this year, it's a midterm election. In a midterm election, it's all about turnout. Everyone will tell you that. It's about getting your voters out, because usually the turnout is much lower because there's no presidential election. So the party that wins is the party or the candidate that does best at getting their voters to show up. Now, let's look at the numbers that we need in California. People say there's not enough Republicans to win a statewide election, and you hear that all the time. Oh, Republicans can't win, it's a deep blue state. Well, here are the numbers. Like most of my career, and I know people know me from Fox News, but most of my career has been in business. Working in business all over the world, starting my own companies, I always look at the data, the numbers. So if you look at the estimate for how many votes will be cast in the election this year, in November, in the general election, you take the average of the last two, 2018, 2022, it gives you a number of 11.7 million total votes. So to win, I'm going to need just over half of that. Let's not be greedy. I don't need 67%. 50.1 is perfectly good enough for me. And that gets you around 5.9 million votes. Target number of votes to win. So when people say there aren't enough Republicans, do you know how many votes President Trump got here in 2024 in California? With votes, number of votes. That's the important thing, is the turnout, the number of votes, without even campaigning here. 6 million. 6.1 million. Okay? So here's a simple way of thinking about it. If everybody in California who voted for President Trump in 2024 votes for me for governor in 2026, I'll be elected governor with 200,000 votes to spare. Now, it's not going to be easy to get that, and I want to be realistic with you. We're not going to get 100% of the turnout in a presidential year, but just that fact that we can go for it gives you a really important understanding of how we win this year for a long time, because it's all about getting the Trump voters out. And a lot of people have made the mistake, I think, over the years in California of saying, well, the only way a Republican wins is to be kind of, get all the Democrats to convert and whatever. And that makes you go in a direction of policy and messages and things that are a little bit watered down, a little bit wishy-washy. We're trying to appeal to the Democrats. No, it's about getting our people out to vote. And that means you need a strong, clear, conservative, common sense message. And that is my campaign. We're going to end the climate insanity to have $3 gas, cut your electric bills in half. We're going to end the bloat and the fraud and the corruption and the waste in the ridiculous nanny state government in Sacramento, so we can cut spending, cut taxes, your first 100 grand tax free. We are going to end free healthcare for illegal immigrants so we can lower healthcare costs for you. We are going to end their war on single family homes so that we can restore that, forcing apartments into suburban areas, all this insanity, so we can restore the California dream of a home you can afford to buy. These are very simple, strong, conservative, common sense things. How we win, okay? Here's another thing. I'm just going through the reasons to believe that this is possible this year, which I very strongly do believe is possible. I wouldn't be doing this if I didn't think that I could win. The next one, we've got a really powerful weapon at our disposal for getting that big turnout this year. You know what it is? They just confirmed it last week. We've got the signatures. It's going to be on the ballot in November. Voter ID. Voter ID is popular. It's got majority support across the board in California, but as you have just showed, it is really popular with Republicans. Every single town hall I do, it gets the biggest cheer. And that's great. That means people will go out and vote for that. It really will help us. It's all, remember, turnout, turnout, turnout. That's how we're going to win in November. A more energized voter base than the Democrats. That is the key to winning. And voter ID is really going to help with that. And then finally, we have another secret weapon in our arsenal this year. Actually, a number of them, maybe not so secret. The Democrat candidates. How about the Democrat candidates? As the president might say, they're not sending their best. You've got, oh my goodness, did anyone see the first TV debate? So maybe if you didn't see it, it was about a month ago now in San Francisco. It was me against 6 Democrats, which I liked. I enjoyed that. They didn't put up much of a fight. I felt like saying at the end in my closing statement, I thought it would be a bit too rude, so I didn't say it. I said, yeah, these Democrats didn't put up much of a fight. For the next debate, could you send me some fresh ones? Anyway, I didn't say that, but that's how it felt, because there was a poll of the TV audience statewide, and well, 2 of them got a very round number, 0. When they asked who won the debate, who made the best impression. Then you had Betty Yee. Anyone heard of her? Betty Yee, she's, all you need to know about her is that I went on Piers Morgan with her after the Katie Porter meltdown, and she started going on, he asked her about biological boys and girls sports, and she starts going on about how she wants a gender-neutral Olympics. This is what we're dealing with. Anyway, Betty Yee, 3%. Javier Becerra, who was Biden's HHS secretary, he said, oh, I did such a great job in the pandemic, got to make me governor. He did such a great job, even Biden can't remember his name. He used to call him Javier Baccaria. Javier Becerra, 4%. The billionaire climate fanatic, Tom Steyer. How are you enjoying his ads? Yeah, he's spent, he's already spent $70 million. So he spent $70 million and he's gone to about 6 or 7%. That's like, not a great return on the money. We are leading in the polls, and I have spent 0 on advertising. Anyway, Tom Steyer got 6%, and then the next one was Matt Mahan. He's the new one. He's the mayor of San Jose. Some of you may have come across him. So they've decided that he's the one. You've got a lot of the big tech people backing him. And I've seen some of the signal chats, that when they're trying to recruit him, because I know these people. And so we've got to have Matt Mahan, because he is the least, this is a quote, the least insane Democrat. I mean, for goodness sake, we are California. We are the greatest state in the greatest nation on earth. You think we can aim a bit higher than least insane? How about sane? So he got 17%. Well, Steve Hilton, 66%. So the reason that is so important is that you've got that was a statewide TV audience, not a Republican audience, and I didn't do anything amazing. I just told the truth in a very clear, simple way. After 16 years of one-party rule, it's a total disaster. It is time for change. It's time for an outsider to go and shake up a system that obviously isn't working. And for these Democrats to say they're going to fix the problems when they created the problems is a total joke. I'm sorry. And that's what won the debate very clearly. So this is... and actually Katie Porter, the other ones weren't there, so they weren't in the debate. They're going to be at the next one. Katie Porter, I know. I can't, or Eric Swalwell. I think the vote goes with Eric Swalwell as the most disliked. I know, I can't tell which I'd rather face, whether Eric Swalwell with the endless opportunity for fang jokes, or Katie Porter where I can talk about mashed potatoes. I don't know. Look, that's my point. Look at all these things we've got going for us. People are sick of what's going on. They've said enough is enough and it's time for change. Voter ID is going to be on the ballot. There are enough Republicans to win statewide. We've got an absolutely disastrous set of Democrat candidates. This is our year. I know we can do it. I know we can do it, everybody. People say, you know, like, I stand before you, I'm a proud American, one of the proudest days of my life. By the way, you know, just in case anyone's wondering, I've also renounced my UK citizenship. That's gone. I'm all in. I'm all in. I don't want anything to do with that, as I sometimes say, apart from all the other things I'm fighting for. And you look what's going on in England, I'm fighting to make sure that this state that I love does not turn into the country I left. So, but just as someone who's such a proud American, someone who's so honored to be part of this great country, this belief that you hear all the time, oh, a Republican can't win, I have to be honest, it is somewhat of an un-American attitude, don't you think? That with things, and we don't believe that things are impossible. Imagine all those years ago, they looked at the moon and said, nah, it's too far, let's not bother. If President Reagan had looked at the Soviet Empire and said, well, they got a lot of weapons and it's a big empire, I think let's just leave it alone. No, he saw something. He saw that this evil empire could be defeated, and he went for it, and he did it, and he liberated a whole continent along with Margaret Thatcher, who I had the great honor of working with, and freed a whole continent from communism, including my family, my Hungarian family. Both my parents are Hungarian. So I know what it means when someone sees something and goes for it, however hard it seems. And there's another one I just want to leave you with, which is my dear friend Charlie Kirk. Imagine if Charlie had listened to all those people who said, oh, you're wasting your time, you'll never get young people to be conservative, you'll never get faith rekindled in America. Nah, what are you bothering? Don't bother going on college campuses, forget it. They're all too far gone, it's all on the left. Charlie didn't believe that. He saw something, and he went for it, and he fought for it, and look what he's achieved. Look at this revolution that he's led. Well, that is the spirit we need here in California. That is why I say to you very, very clearly, we are going to fight for California. We're going to save California. We're going to make the California dream a reality again for everyone, and make this beautiful state that we love so much truly golden again. Thank you very much, everyone. Thank you. Thank you, thank you. All right. Oh, I love it. Oh, she says I look very sexy with the beard. What about that? I'm coming back here. This is a good crowd. I like it very much. So, yeah, thank you very much. Exactly. All right. So, okay, so tell me the plan. You go, you drive.
Yeah, you can start asking questions anytime we have people to run the microphone.
Okay, yeah, you go. Well, you choose the people because I don't really know.
Right here.
Let me just take a drink.
Right here's number 2. It's on.
Very much, thank you.
We got some questions.
Oh, not on yet. Do I need to do something?
Stand there if that's okay.
The power on? Okay.
Steve, that's Wayne Hall.
Hi, Dee. Hi, there it is. Okay, Mr. Hilton, thank you for being here, and with all due respect, I wanted to ask you, for those who might struggle between you and Chad Bianco, we're all out for a Republican to win, ultimately. What gives you the advantage over Chad Bianco in getting the election won?
Thank you. Wait, did I just turn this off? Oh, there we are. Thank you very much. And so this is you're the former sheriff here, retired sheriff, is that right?
Yes.
Deputy Sheriff. Well, thank you very much for your service. We appreciate that very much. Thank you, thank you. Look, it's a choice. It's an election. I mean, that's what it is. It's our system in California and America, and it's for us to make our case. So here's how I would see it: that, you know, I've spent the last 3 years traveling the state. I gave up my show on Fox to start my policy organization, Golden Together. I've been traveling the state, meeting many of you, learning about our problems here in California, developing the solutions. That's what I've been doing, and you see those the product of that I've got the plans on all the big issues, on water, on energy, on crime, on the business climate, on everything, homelessness, housing. I've done the work, I've got the solutions ready to go. Remember, most of my career has been in business. I've got a problem-solving, pragmatic mindset. I know how to get things done and make things happen. My first job was project manager for a construction company. You really got to understand how things work there. This is an executive position. It's not just, I'm just with the greatest respect, it's not just about giving orders. You just got to make things happen. You've got to bring teams together. You've got to deliver across the board. I have experience of doing that in an actual government. Now, of course, I'm not saying that the UK government is the same as California. It's not, very different. But it's about the same size, honestly. Same size of the bureaucracy, similar problems, massive bureaucracy, the resistance from the civil service. I know what that's like. I've been there and fought that, and I've got experience of that. So I've got the business experience, the government reform experience, the policy expertise across the range of policies in real depth. And I've spent years studying it. I just wrote a book last year called Caliphalia, Reversing the Ruin of America's Worst Run State. The second part of that book is called Califuture. It's a blueprint for turning things around. So there's all of that. Next, I've got the media experience and the national media platform. That's very important. We know how important that is these days. You know, I've been operating on the national stage for nearly a decade now. This is a big job, and you've got to be able to play on the national stage. And I've been doing that. And I've got friendships and relationships that are going to be very important for this race, from the president on down. The president, half the cabinet are friends of mine. People in the media, people like Joe Rogan, Megyn Kelly, these are friends of mine. You know, it's going to, Clay Travers, who I was on just with yesterday, you know, there's a lot of support out there that I'm going to be able to bring to us in California and actually bring the whole country's attention to California, which is what we need, because we're sick of all these, you know, politicians coming here and, you know, taking our money and raising money and then running away and doing their elections in the other part of the country and not looking after us here in California. I can get that national attention on California. And the final thing I'll say is actually the team that I'm putting together. No one's ever done it like this before in running for governor. And it's the first time any candidate for either party has done this, but all my career I know that it's not one person, it's a team. And that's what I'm doing. I've now put together a team of statewide candidates to run with me. We're calling it the Golden Ticket. Very, very important. I've got Michael Gates running with me for Attorney General. Michael Gates was the city attorney in Huntington Beach, a real fighter. He sued Newsom over housing mandates and voter ID and the sanctuary state law. He then was hired by President Trump, which would be in the Justice Department, where he led the work on election integrity with Harmeet Dillon. He's a serious guy, and he's going to be right by my side. I was with him last night at an event in LA. Right, sometimes the question is, what are you going to get done because of the legislature? Well, one thing is through the appointments to the agencies and the executive orders that we give them. Those executive orders have much greater force if they have a legal opinion from the Attorney General. So the fact that we're running together makes that much more powerful. Then you look at the State Controller, incredibly important office. No one pays attention to because it's just been filled by these Democrat hacks that just use it as a stepping stone to the next position. The State Controller has the power to audit every organization receiving state money. So think about that when we think about all the fraud that's going on and the waste and the abuse. We're already, I know, we're already finding that, you know, I mean, a lot of people said to me, how are you going to cut taxes and spending? Are you going to bring in Doge to sort out California? I said, no, I'm not going to bring in Doge. I'm going to be Doge. That's my job. And I'm already doing it. We are already doing it. We set it up. A month ago, we announced Cal Doge. It's already operating. We've got Jenny Ray LaRue running it. You may remember her. She ran for governor before, very accomplished businesswoman. We've got investigators looking into the fraud. We've done our third fraud report yesterday. We actually are already, we're not even elected, and we're finding the fraud. Yesterday was Project Homekey, billions of dollars in LA that we found. So look, I don't want to go into it, I'm brushing through it so we can get to another question, but I'm putting the team together to get this done. Also running with me for Lieutenant Governor, Gloria Romero. She's a very big deal. She was previously the Democrat leader in the state Senate. She was introduced to me by Rick Grinnell when she was working with Rick Grinnell on a ballot initiative for school choice. She's sick. She left the Democrats. They went far left. She's now a Republican. She voted and endorsed President Trump, spoke at the Coachella rally. She's a Latina. That's really important. We know about how important that is in our state. Her district was East LA. LA County is 23% of the vote in California. We've got to do better there. And she's going to help us with that. So that's the golden ticket. And now you move on to the individual nominations for the government. I'm already doing the work of putting an administration together. Just this week in Fresno, I announced who I'll be nominating for Natural Resources Secretary. Incredibly important position for water, energy, forest management. John Duarte, former member of Congress, fantastically knowledgeable about the water issue. And we announced that this week, and you're going to be seeing more announcements. In other words, I'm approaching this with a depth and a seriousness, if I may say so, that we've never seen before. And I think that's what it's going to take. We've got to go all in. I showed you earlier the path to victory. I know it's there, but it's not going to be easy. We have to do everything right. We have to do things differently and very seriously. And that's what I'm doing. And that's why I would be honored to have your support. I do think I'm the strongest choice for this job. Randall, I think.
Mr. Hilton, my name is Sharon Roden, and I'll try to keep it quick, even though I know that's hard. 3 things. I'm sure you hit this in Bakersfield with the permits that were pulled. They're now there, but there are so many loopholes to get through, and when they quit giving out the permits for oil drilling, everybody left California. It's getting them back. That's one thing. 2 is the water. We've doubled our population without creating any more reservoirs. I was in farming for 40 years myself, 6th generation in Kern County. But the real question for me, and we hear a lot about it, and we know money doesn't work, homeless.
Yeah.
What are the solutions that you know of that we can truly get help to those who need it, but stop throwing money at the problem, billions of dollars that are not working?
Yeah, exactly. Is it one that what did I do here? Did I turn it off? No. Is that good?
It has to go back and forth.
It goes back and forth. What a clever system. You can't have 2 people talking at once. I like it. I should have that in my house. I know, exactly. I won't get a word. Okay, so the thing is that where are you? There. Okay. On oil and gas, I spend a lot of time on it, and it's a really good example, actually, of what you can get done if you know what you're doing and you understand how the government works. Because the way that the Democrats have been shutting down the industry, exactly as you say, is with permits. And it's done by a specific agency, CalGEM, California Department of Geologic and Energy Management. And they have just been refusing to give permits for the 3 basic things that you need, which is 1, maintenance of existing wells. So if a well goes wrong, you need a permit to fix it. They're not giving those out. So you go to these oil fields, which I've done, and I think it's a magnificent sight. It's like this with the vines, but it's as far as you can see. But half of them aren't working. It's not because there's no oil there, it's because they can't get the permits to do the maintenance. Or the next category, which is expanding existing wells. So the way I understand it, you've got, I'm not an expert, but you've got basically a well that's doing about 5 barrels a day, and you do some clever, I think they call it sidetracking, you can tell me, and where you can basically boost it up to 100 a day, get more life out of it. You need a permit for that. They're not giving you the permit. And drilling new fields, new wells in existing fields. So again, you go to these oil fields, there are these concrete slabs there, pads ready for drilling for a new well, just sitting there. We're not talking about drilling in the middle of Yosemite or somewhere like this. This is literally in the middle of an oil field with oil wells all around, and they won't give you a permit to do a few more wells. It's insane. Now, that can be changed very rapidly by kicking out the climate fanatics from CalGEM, also with our natural resources guy who's going to be pushing this, and just telling them, executive orders, issue every permit the industry wants. No constraints, nothing. And also the Sable thing, or just off the coast, I touched on it earlier, Santa Barbara, that's the 2nd biggest oil reserves in the country now. Like, that's a huge opportunity for California. Gavin Newsom's blocking it. We can unblock that very quickly without any need for the legislature. Water, there's 2 things. Broadly. Number 1 is, even within the existing infrastructure we have, we could get much bigger deliveries to our farmers and give them what they've paid for in many cases, but don't receive. It's outrageous. I've spent a lot of time in the Central Valley and elsewhere talking with our farmers, and I really understand the issue. So you've got the supply, but what you have to do there, it's the State Water Resources Control Board, and they've got these biologic assessments, which basically they're just bureaucratic statements saying this is how much water we need to use this year for the delta. You know, they call it environmental uses. What that really means is they want to preserve this sort of level of, you know, the particular level of salinity in the delta for the fish. And it's true. They're literally doing it, as the president said, to try and save this tiny little fish, the delta smelt, which basically died out. And then they had a program to reintroduce it from UC Davis. Now the whole thing as a pretext for stopping the water. It's insane. The first Trump administration, by the way, you know, the president, he talked about a giant spigot. He actually educated the whole country about this. He said, oh, there's this giant spigot in the north of California. Everyone laughed at him. Said, oh, Trump, what's he talking about? Well, there really is. I actually went there. It's near Tracy. And you've got these pumping stations. One of them runs the state water project, and the other runs the federal one. And there's these two pumping stations, and I filmed a video of it. I called it the Trump pump, the federal one. And the Trump pump, in the first Trump administration, he increased deliveries through the Delta Mendota Canal, and guess what? The California aqueduct deliveries were reduced to compensate, because they're insane, these people, and they don't care about this magnificent agriculture industry that should be the pride of the world. I mean, it's just so infuriating to me. I was just at the World Ag Expo in Tulare, the World Ag Expo in Tulare a few weeks ago. I mean, just the innovation, the business, the industry. It's an incredible industry being throttled by these Democrats. It's all going to change, because actually, again, if you know what you're doing, you put the right people in, and that's the State Water Board, you tell them to delete these biologic assessments, you increase the supply for agriculture and domestic, because also, by the way, it's not just our farmers, they're using the shortage of water as an excuse to stop housing. And that's why housing prices are so high, amongst other things. You know, the whole thing is just totally ridiculous. So that's what I'm saying, is that even within what we've got, we can do better. But of course we need more infrastructure, because I want us to grow. And we passed all these bonds for years that should have been none of the infrastructure has been built from that. And we need it. Why? We've just seen why. A few weeks ago we had 9 feet of snow in the Sierras. All gone, because we had an unusually hot few days. It's basically gone, flushed out to the ocean. It's a crime what they've done, because they haven't built the storage and the distribution. So there's a bunch of things we can do there. I've got a whole policy paper on it, water abundance, which is what we should have in California. But it's number one, finish the Sites Reservoir. That's up in Colusa County. I was there the other week, I should say. I should have been 100 feet underwater. It's supposed to have been built in the 70s. So I'm only speaking so fast, because I want to get to more questions. But I hope that's okay. No, hang on. So you've got Sites Reservoir, you've got raising Shasta Dam. That's a good proposal. 18 feet, I think, is the proposal. That creates a huge amount of storage. There's this 40-mile canal that you can build, which John Duarte, my natural resources guy, is talking about. So yes, we need to increase the infrastructure. Those are the two parts of it. More deliveries within the existing infrastructure, increase the infrastructure so we have even more in the future, and capture. We have abundant water in California. There is no drought in California. It's a man-made drought, or you should say a Democrat-made drought, and it's going to end when I'm governor. All right, homelessness. Number one, enforce the law, right? It's illegal to camp on the streets. It's illegal. It's always been illegal. It's always been illegal. They hid behind this ruling from the Ninth Circuit, the Boise ruling, which said that you can't remove people from the street unless you have sufficient shelter available in your town or whatever. But they didn't define what shelter was. It's just that the local government, all these Democrats interpreted it as what they call permanent supportive housing, these apartments for like $1 million each. It can just be a shelter bed. So they could have done it all along. The whole thing was avoidable. Now there's no excuse, because even that ruling's been overturned by the Supreme Court in 2024 in Grants Pass versus Oregon. There's no excuse, right? So the very simple point, if local politicians won't enforce the law, as governor, I will use state law enforcement resources to remove homeless encampments. That's number one. Number two, we have to get people into treatment. Over 80% of people experiencing homelessness have alcohol or drug addiction, mental health problems. We've got to deal with both. And it should not be an option. We've had this ridiculous housing first philosophy where you give people an apartment and they're still on drugs. It doesn't matter whether they became homeless because they're addicted to drugs, or they became addicted to drugs because they're homeless, because they're targets for gangs and drug deals. It doesn't matter. You're not going to help someone get their life back on track if they're addicted to drugs. So you have to get people off drugs to unbelievable. Even the Democrats agree with this. They passed a bill in the state legislature last year called the Sober Housing Act, where just 10% of the money would have been of homelessness would have been spent on, as the name suggests, housing where you're required to be sober. Guess what? The Democrats passed it with a 2/3 majority in the legislature. Gavin Newsom vetoed it. Isn't that disgraceful? So we got to change all that. We got to have mandatory drug and alcohol treatment. And number 3, we have to have mental health provision. Right now, the biggest mental health facility in America? Los Angeles Central Jail. It is barbaric. It is disgusting what's going on because they won't invest because they're sending all the money to their homeless industrial complex, their crony developers building all this stuff. That's all going to end. And there's a very specific thing which is really important to understand, which is with mental health services, a lot of it is Medicaid reimbursement, and that determines what goes on. From the outset of Medicaid in 1965, they put in this rule called the IMD rule, Institutions of Mental Disease. And it was back in the days when people didn't want big insane asylums and whatever. Okay, that was then. But here's the rule, it's amazing. That states do not get Medicaid reimbursement for any mental health care that takes place in a facility with more than 16 beds. It's the 16-bed rule, it's amazing. So imagine if all hospitals, just regular hospitals, couldn't be bigger than 16 beds, how inefficient that would be. That's what we've got going on in mental health for Medicaid reimbursement. And there's a whole lobby behind that. That's why it's stayed there, because the people who make money from, they call it community health, there's a whole lobby for it. Now the first Trump administration created a waiver, it's called the IMD waiver, where states could apply to exempt themselves from the 16-bed limit. Of course, the geniuses in California have not done it like other states have. As governor, I will. So we actually end up treating people with dignity, get them off the streets, into treatment and into mental health care.
Are we on?
I am a little shy here. It's such a pleasure to be here to meet you, Mr. Steve Hilton, and thank you for running. Thank you so much. If I have tears, they're tears of joy right now to get this opportunity to meet you, and I have to say I can't imagine ever getting the chance to meet Mr. Donald Trump, who I love so much. I'm going to kiss your cheek, is that okay? Oh, God. It's okay, I'm gonna meet my marriages. Anyway, I came here with my grandson, my oldest grandchild, my daughter, my daughter, my only child, and my grandson, who is 3 with special needs, at the 6 homeless shelter. I have stable housing now, and it took, believe me, they want to make me through hell because I'm trying to get custody or guardianship of my grandson. Then my daughter had a baby, 2-year-old. Now she had a baby at Twins Hospital on the 10th. Then I'm fighting to get guardianship up, and they're raking me over the coals to try to get these babies. And it's not fair. My hometown is Fresno, so I do know about the water, somewhat water rights in the valley in here, and we need help. We need to get Gavin Newsom out of there. Let's kick him to the ocean where he can never survive. Sorry. I didn't just say that, did I? But I think I'm going to win because I slipped in the McConey governor.
So that's a really important issue that it's very interesting. One of the great things about doing this, and I spent a lot of time on the road, and some of you may have seen that, I've done a lot of these events like yours, where it's hosted by another organization, or our own events, town halls that we've arranged as part of our campaign, and there'll be many more to come. And what is great about them is that you learn a lot, actually. And so you come into these things, and as you've heard, I've spent a lot of time and I've studied a lot of these issues, and I have the answers, and that's great. But there's always something that you learn, and you take away and you say, right, I need to figure out something on that because I hadn't really thought about that enough. And one of the biggest things that I'm hearing at these events is what you just talked about. There is something really wrong with the way we run family and child services in this state, like deeply, deeply wrong. It's really dark, actually. And some of these stories I'm hearing, like yours today and others, are just so upsetting to me. I just can't believe what's going on. And it's not talked about enough. And, we talk about gas prices and all that's true. Homelessness. But this is, family is the most important thing in my life, and I think it should be the most important thing in everyone's life, in our state's life, in our community's life. And there's some kind of really sick ideology has taken root in the bureaucracy around, and it's the state bureaucracy, the Department of Social Services. So that whole place needs to be cleaned out from these ideologues. I mean, many of these people who are making these policy decisions, they don't have children. They don't even know, they're just sort of, people with just ideology. They've read in some book, and they're making these decisions that are so cruel. And they're destroying families. They are destroying families. And I hear it all sorts of different ways. Like, unbelievable stories. Like a lady who told me, you could see it on my podcast. I had her come on the podcast to tell the story. She was the victim of domestic abuse, domestic violence, the victim, and she was, and then she went through a very difficult process and standing up to that and reporting it. And the guy was taken with the husband, and they got divorced. When ended up in jail. He's in jail now, where he should be. They came to her house and took away her children. Right, the guy had gone, he's in jail. Her 4 children taken away. This happened last year. She's still separated from them. You know how old the youngest child was? 7 weeks old. Right? 7 weeks old. And they came and banged down her door. And they came in, and why? Because they accused her of not protecting them from the domestic violence and exposing them to a dangerous situation. I talk about blaming the victim, and they're still not together. I mean, I don't know how someone copes with that. It's so evil. And all the time I'm hearing these stories. And there's a group now I've connected with in Orange County, a friend of mine, and she's set up a group which I'll connect you with, because she's now become an advocate for all these people. And I know exactly every person I meet, like who's got exactly like you have all the paper, and it's just they're up against this bureaucracy that is inhuman. And I don't know, there's no word strong enough to describe this. And these, effing bureaucrats who just have no heart doing these things. It just makes me so upset. And the stories are very powerful, so thank you for telling the story. If you don't tell the story, we don't know how bad it is. It's really bad. It's really bad. There's another guy, a guy who's been, take custody taken away because he didn't want the son being dressed in a dress, age 3. And he objected to that, and then he loses custody of his own child, who just wanted to stop from the gender madness. I'm sorry, all of this stuff is, it's a very big deal, and I hadn't appreciated till I did this, how bad it is, and how big of a problem it is, how many stories there are like this, right? I mean, Shannon, it's really bad, isn't it?
Yeah, right here in this county, you guys know Paso and Museum Market High School District, there are boys in the girls' locker room, in the girls' sports, and for 1 year, a year ago today, I started speaking on it, but it's breaking down, I think it's coming down. Thank you for speaking vocally on it. The story you tell is my friend's daughter. The story about the locker room and the gavel pounding and the girl crying.
Yes, it's unbelievable. Another one, just the other day, this is another story. I'm going to share the name, but this was a lady who's a foster parent, right? There's somebody who does foster, but that's a real commitment. I've really such admiration for people who do that. And she was raising these kids, and they took the kids away to give back to the mother, who's still addicted to drugs and in some kind of care home or whatever. And it's all because of this ideology about, oh, they got to be with the mom. And it's just crazy. And you say, what are you doing that you're going to give it back to a drug-addicted mom? Oh, they should be with the mom. They just don't have any heart or humanity and think what is in the best interest of children. You know, and so this is something, sorry, I'll stop. I mean, I don't have, unlike some of these other things, I don't actually have a specific, 3-point plan, but I'm working on it, and I want to tell you that it's a top priority, and we're going to clean, and it's not just the state government, it's at the counties as well, but a lot of this is run out of the counties. Social services, child protective services, all of this stuff. It's a real problem in our state. It's been infected with this really, really sick ideology, and we've got to clean the whole thing out.
Hi, Steve. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. My name is Kendall Caruana, and I'm vice chair of the San Luis Obispo Young Republicans Federation. We are working extremely hard to get our launch event going on, and I'm working alongside Roman Medeiros, who a lot of you guys probably know. And I think that between you and Chad Bianco, the topic of BLM is really important, and it's kind of serious. And Chad Bianco has recently said that he wouldn't have had to fight the riots in downtown Riverside if you hadn't funded them so much. And so I just wanted to hear your response to that and how serious it is that Chad Bianco knelt for BLM. Thank you.
That's a minute. Hey, what did he say?
Sounds like you're funding protesters. Yeah, he said he wouldn't have had to fight the riots in downtown Riverside if Steve hadn't to raise the money for BLM.
That's insane. Is this what? That's truly insane. That's a sick thing to say. I gotta tell you. I mean, I know it's politics, but you can't just make stuff up. That's really shocking to me. Is that really what he said?
Says so in an article.
The article.
That's unbelievable.
What article?
That's really,
Yeah.
that's I'm sorry, I think that lying on that scale is just totally disqualifying. I gotta be honest. The question is, well, maybe if you didn't,
The question, I had two questions. I said, what was his response to Chad Bianco saying that basically he was funding BLM? And what is his response to that, basically? And also, what is the seriousness of Chad Bianco kneeling for BLM? Because there's a divide between you guys, and I think that we need to know who exactly to vote for. And this is a big issue on how to vote.
well, I think that you got to vote for the person that tells the truth. You got to vote for the person that tells the truth, and to just sort of make stuff up like that is really disqualifying. And actually, there's something wrong with anyone who would say something like that. They can't just defend their own actions with truth and honesty and decency, and feels that their only defense is to lash out with laughable, made-up smears of that kind that just have literally no basis in anything. It's extraordinary. I cannot even believe it's the first time I'm hearing that. So thank you for letting me know about that. It's obviously ridiculous.
But there's also, what I have read too, is that under his police enforcement in Riverside County, the crime rate has gone up. Yes, he is. Oh, okay. I have heard that since Bianco is in charge of law enforcement in Riverside County, that the crime rate up there has gone up. It has not gone down. So, who knows, who's telling the truth here. But again, I'd like to know who your source is. I mean, you said you read an article. Okay, who published this, and is it a reliable source? And that's another thing we got to check on.
Thank you. I've seen that data as well. I mean, look, I'll answer your question on BLM, and then we'll get to the record. Everyone can see the video. Everyone can look at the picture. It's on this website, blmbianco.org. You can look at it. Now, I wasn't there. I'm going, as we all have to, on what you see on the video. And the story that he tells is that I've done debates with him where he says, I didn't take a knee for BLM. Well, that's literally not true, because you can see him doing it, right? But the question is, why did he do it? And his argument is that he was praying. That's what he says. I was praying.
That's right. That's what he says.
I've just watched the video and see if that's what it looks like to you. I mean, what's that song? You know, I'm sorry, I don't pray that way. So it's just, believe what you see, I think. In terms of the record in the sheriff's department, great point to say about checking sources and so on. I know one thing that is absolutely true is that he's the highest paid sheriff in California. Over 600,000, 700,000. It's also true. These are verifiable facts. It's a lot of money.
That's incredible. That's obscene, is what that is. That's obscene. That's obscene. That's not even believable.
Well, that's I'm telling you, that's public record.
I believe you.
Can you fire him?
So no, first of all, so he's the highest paid by quite a long way. And the argument, I've seen that data that he has the worst crime clear-up rate in the state. Highest paid, worst results. Sounds like the Democrats to me. The other verifiable fact is, which I just see this, right? I'm not putting, is that there's been over $100 million worth of settlements of civil lawsuits arising from claims against the department for negligence and mismanagement and so on. That's a lot of money being paid out by taxpayers. So, there's I think it is absolutely right that we look at the records of people running for office, but I think we should do it honestly. And I really am shocked to hear what we just heard, but I'm going to continue to tell the truth.
Testing.
Hi, I'm a lifelong resident of the county, and I want to know what your thoughts are on the bill AB 19 that was passed about 5 years ago, where on death, property gets reassessed to your children. So if you have a small farm or a ranch, you pass it to your children, it gets reassessed, and they can't even make enough money to pay the property taxes, and then a developer moves in.
No, it's outrageous. It's outrageous. Hang on, no, got it. It's automatic. It's very high tech here. Without me having to do anything. It's really, really outrageous. I just think it's so, and it's just this punitive, anti-family mentality. And they, first of all, it's just more and more money, that insatiable demand for our tax dollars, for their bottomless money pit of waste and fraud and abuse. So where does the money even go? That's outrageous. And I totally agree with you. It's such a beautiful thing. That's why we work so hard, to pass something on to our children. And that's a natural human instinct, to provide for our family, to pass something on. There's nothing more beautiful when I see, a ranch or some kind of business that's been in the family for generations. It's an absolutely wonderful thing. And one of the things that I've, all my career actually in different ways, on the policies that I've done and the books that I've written, whatever, I really believe so. I wrote a book called More Human in 2015, and the whole argument of the book was that everything's become too big and centralized and bureaucratic and distant from the human scale, and that applies to business and everything. Government and healthcare and schools and whatever, we've got to make things more human. And I think this is an anti-human approach. So the question with AB 19, as with a lot of things that have been passed in legislation, is, well, what can you actually do about it as governor? You can't just, so I'm dead against it, let's be clear. And there's a very important ballot initiative that's going. Actually, I haven't heard the latest on whether we got the signatures. Along with voter ID for this year, save Prop 13.
We did.
Got this. Okay, so because I've been very, you know, Susan Shelley's a good friend of mine. If you watch the Steve Hilton show, she's on every other week, and she's with Howard Jarvis Taxpayers Association. So I've been learning about all these issues for years. So the question with the bill that's been a law that's in the law now is it's very difficult to do anything about it to overturn it unless you can find some way in which it violates the state constitution. Then, with the right Attorney General, you can begin the process of overturning it. And actually, there's a lot we can do. That's how we're going to stop biological boys and girls sports. Because that law, AB 1266, that did that, is totally unconstitutional. But of course, they're all in favor of it, so no one's ever challenged it. Well, I will challenge it, and we will overturn it. On AB 19, I'm going to give you what may be an unsatisfying answer, which is I will do everything in my power to deal with it, and it may be that we have to go around it in a different way. I hope we don't have to do it in a ballot initiative, because we can't have everything be a ballot initiative. It just... Of course it does. Exactly, that's exactly right. It reduces housing stock. It's just a disaster. But it's this kind of mean-spirited kind of punishing people for being successful. It's really outrageous.
Hello, Mr. Hilton. Thank you so much for, I don't even need a mic. I got a lot of voice. Thank you so much for coming here. I love just hearing what you have to say. My name is Brian Rundle. I'm the current Turning Point Cal Poly chapter president. And also the co-Republicans chapter president. So, I love what you had to say about Charlie, about not giving up on the youth, because I know growing up, a lot of people just, it felt like people had given up on us until Charlie had come in, you know? And I know my personal experience on Cal Poly campus is that there's a lot of people who are conservative and Christ-fearing and are kind of afraid to kind of speak out on, like in their beliefs. Like, there's a lot of people who come up to me like, I totally believe in Turning Point. I believe in that, but like, I'm afraid that like my friends are gonna judge me, or I'm gonna, you know, people are gonna look down on me. And we've seen that, you know, we've had tables flipped on campus. We've had people who were posted on our social media who were just showing up to a leadership meeting, and someone like reached out to them saying they should go kill themselves. And it's like, how can we, how can we, like, as you said, like, how can we reach the youth? How can we get people to believe in Steve Hilton, in like having a conservative governorship, and believe that it's true? Because I think people just assume that it's another thing that we've given up on, and I don't think we should give up on it, you know? Like, how can we give up?
Thank you very much. Thank you. I just want to thank you for what you're doing. The answer is you. You are the answer, right? You're doing. I mean, I got my Charlie wristband here to remind me, and Charlie was there for me on day one. And as I always say, as I was just saying, the first few weeks of the campaign, I got Charlie Kirk behind me, and I still have Charlie Kirk behind me very strongly. And so the answer is what you're doing, and I want to join you. I mean, we've just started a college tour. We just started it. Our first event was in Pepperdine just this week, and so we're just getting started. I think there's strength and power in numbers, and in showing up and being there. And I absolutely want to be there with you. I'm so happy you came today, and I want to make sure that we talk and we get your information and we come and do something at Cal Poly. I will be there with you.
Yes.
Testing.
Hi, my name's Brenda Barixa, and many years ago, when Duke Majan was governor, I fought my school district and the State Department of California. I testified a couple times at the Capitol. My child couldn't get an English classroom in public school, and I wasn't good with that. Cuts their time in half. If you wonder what's wrong with education, that's what's wrong. This needs to go to the Supreme Court because it's a violation of the Constitution, specifically equal protection of the law. If you live in an affluent part of town, you can get an English classroom. But if you live in a lower part of town, you can't. How is that equal protection of the law? Nobody's been able to answer that question, including Governor Deukmejian. So I'd like to see that get to the Supreme Court, because if it does, we'll win.
But I just want to be clear what you're saying, which is that students should be taught in English in school.
Yes.
That's what you're saying, right? Because I can't understand.
What happened is they were being forced into bilingual classrooms
ridiculous.
where their
It's
education time was cut in half. If you've ever sat through a meeting that's translated, you know it takes twice as long.
No, believe me, I've sat through a lot. I've done a
Well,
lot.
that's what's happening in public
I know.
school.
Well, okay, you're gonna like what I have to say about this, because I've been saying it before I met you today. I feel incredibly strongly about this. By the way, as someone who speaks a lot of languages, you know, I speak French and German, I learned that at school, I speak Hungarian, whatever, great. But sorry, this is America, our language is English. That's it. It's very simple. And it's actually, and this sort of pandering, how does that help anyone? Right? How does that help those students? And I really appreciate what you said about low-income areas. How does it help a low-income student from a Hispanic, a Latino background, whatever term you want to use? How does it help them to not require them to meet basic standards in English? How's that going to help them get a good job, or climb the ladder of opportunity, or make it in America? It's actually hurting them. It's hurting them, it's hurting the other students, it's hurting everyone. It's a perfect example, a terrible example, of how ideology nowadays with these leftists just totally takes over practicality. It is completely wrong. It is completely wrong. We have to insist on English instruction in our schools. We have to insist on it. Because this is America. That's how you're gonna flourish and thrive in our country. I mean, it's just so obvious to me. I mean, you said earlier about something else, Jess. You said, "Oh, that's too sensible." I mean, it's just like, isn't it so obvious? I don't understand how you could. And it's, oh, we must be kind of compassionate to the. It's not It's like the same argument as on homelessness. Oh, we must be compassionate. What, and let people live in those conditions on this? That's not compassion. Every parent knows you don't just sort of give kids what they want. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. And so the question I've got is whether, so this is again a good example of something. I mean, I've expressed this opinion very strongly before we met today. So I'm completely clear about what needs to happen. The question is, can I make that happen as governor just through the mechanisms that I have? Well, the question is, because you do appoint every member of the State Board of Education. And so you've got a lot of leverage, you control a lot of the money, so we'll see. I mean, there's a lot that I can, and by the way, just a broader point on this, so you've got a situation now where, again, the education is a disaster in our state, just generally. If you look at 53% of students in California do not meet basic standards in English and math, 53%, 47% do. With math, it's like 33%. But with Latinos, it's 70% don't meet basic standards. Right? 70% do not meet basic standards in English. What chance do those young people have of making it in California? And these people call themselves compassionate, these Democrats, and social justice. How's that just? How's that fair? It's totally outrageous. Though you've got no chance of how you're going to, all the things we want, the opportunities we want for people to have a good job and make enough to raise their family in a home of their own, in a safe neighborhood with a good school so your kids have a better life. All that sort of basic things of the American dream, or even the more, the kind of the California dream, where you got we want entrepreneurs and innovators and people to create amazing new businesses and change the world and all these. How can you do that in America if you don't speak English? It's ridiculous. It's so offensive to me. I can't believe we're still having these conversations. Sorry.
Steve, good afternoon. My name is Sissy Pace. I want to go back to something that was spoken about earlier, water. Over the past 25 to 30 years, California voters have passed 3 bond measures. We still have no dams, and we still can't find the water. When you are elected, will you pledge to audit, put forth an audit, find out where that money went, prosecute those who mishandled it, and finally build us some dams?
Very good. Yes. But the answer is yes. It won't be me doing the prosecution. This is why it helps to have the team, right? We're going to have my Attorney General, Michael Gates. He's already said, we will find the fraud and prosecute. There's a great addition to the list. You're right. Where did that money go? All that bond money. Nothing's been built. And so the last dam was like in 1974 or something. It's ridiculous. And so we absolutely need that. Sites needs to be finished. I did go to the site of the Sites Reservoir. Like I said, should have been 100 feet underwater up in Colusa County. It's actually not a complicated engineering project. I saw where it should be. It's actually quite a narrow gorge. You can make that dam. It's still there. Nothing's happened. It's supposed to have been built in the 70s. Environmental review still holding it up. We're going to bulldoze through that. And so that's going to be built.
What about that bullet train, too?
Oh, the
bullet train. Where is that money, huh?
No, it's a great point. It's a great point about auditing and prosecuting. And yes, we will build the dams. Raising Shasta Dam is one that's an interesting one as well, because that is so big that you get a lot of extra storage from that. Into the ocean, it's disgusting. I mean, like I said, we had this fantastic. I was so optimistic. You know, I care about this a lot, and I care about our farmers so much. And so when you have a really big snowfall, like we saw the other week, just a few, I don't know, not even a month ago, over the President's Day weekend, it was around that time. Huge, 9 feet in this. That's it's like fantastic. We're going to have a great year. We're going to have very high snowpack. It's going to be wonderful for the war. It's all gone. Just already gone. Because these idiots. I think we have to go in a few minutes. So maybe 2 more. Yeah, exactly.
Hi, Steve. Thanks for coming out. And I have to say, at first, I was 100% for Bianco, and now you're giving me a lot good stuff to think about. So, good job. So I wanted just a one quick question, but then 2 deeper questions. You said that you're an ex-businessman. How many employees did you ever oversee, so to speak, as a business owner?
Well, there were different types. So we had, I didn't realize I had small business owners. So my first business we had probably at its peak, it went up and down a bit, but probably about 25, something like that, a company called Good Business. And then we had 2 restaurants in England called the Good Cook. And they were, that's like more people, probably about each one about 30, something like that. And then for my startup here in California, that was, again, in that range, like 15 to 20. But then we had some remote engineers, in other countries and that kind of thing. So indirectly, but you said directly, probably about 15, something like that.
Yeah. The reason I asked that is I too was very similar to that. I had a couple small little things, I still do, but I have a larger one. I want to clarify, this is a non-fraudulent home health and a hospice agency. So, and I don't say I employ, I say I work with. We work together. But I employ over 550 employees between Santa Barbara and San Luis Obispo counties. We service both counties completely. So I will say I can help you with the fraud problem. I can help you root that out easily, super easy. But my biggest question is PAGA.
Can I just say something? Sorry to interrupt. Do you know what I was just thinking? This is really true. I said, if he's in that business, he's having a nightmare with PAGA lawsuits. Before you said it. Any business like that, including restaurants, it's a nightmare. Please finish your question.
That's why I'm bringing it up a lot to let people know about what's going on. You know, they look at a business such as mine and they think, oh, wow, look at that. You know, they're raking it in and everything. But at every single turn, you have the state that has made it a free-for-all to come after stuff like this. So PAGA stands for Private Attorneys General, and I can't remember the other stuff.
Act, Private Attorney General Act.
And so private attorneys can come in and basically they have one grumpy employee and they can look at all of your records and payroll, everything, and if you missed one 15-minute break that you didn't miss, they chose not to, they wanted to work through it, but because on paper you missed it, now all of a sudden the state gets 65% of whatever they sue you for.
I think it's 75%.
It's 60. Well, it's 100% goes out, but the state gets 65%.
Well, the lawyers. Anyway, keep going. Did you want to?
Well, that's just it.
You got it. I'm just raring to go with this question. I can't tell you.
I want to hear about PAGA.
I cannot tell you how fired up I am about this. Precisely because I've run the kind of businesses that are being extorted. This is extortion. This is state-sponsored extortion. It is outrageous. It's exactly like you're talking about. If you run any kind of business like that, that's why I knew you were going to say that. The minute you said that, restaurants, bars, hospitals, farmers, ranch, you know, and what happens is, it's not just that the employee makes the complaint. The lawyers go fishing for the complaint. I don't know if you've had that. They literally come in restaurant with business cards, handing it out to people. Say, oh, come and call. They advertise on Instagram. They're cooking up these complaints. Some of them are so offensive. It's like, oh, that's true. I know you're looking like what? Yes, you know. Okay. You spell the name wrong on the pay stub or something like that. Insane. Total BS. The original theory of this, the reason they passed the bill, and this is very important in understanding the solution actually, in 2004 this was passed, and the theory was we've got all these labor law infringements and infractions or whatever, and the State Department of Industrial Relations and the Labor Commissioner doesn't have the capacity to enforce state labor law, so let's outsource it to lawyers, to trial lawyers, and that's how it came about, private attorney general. So any lawyer acting as if they were the attorney general, that's where it came from. But it's a total racket because, as you say, when you have these here's how it goes. They sue you for some ridiculous, there's a complaint is issued. The employee makes a complaint, the lawyer then immediately takes it, turns it into, the other thing you didn't mention is that it's multiplied by each of your employees. So even if it's one complaint, you got 5 per facility, right? So then they add it up and say, well, we assume you're doing this to everyone, so that one complaint is multiplied by your total employees. You get some astronomical figure. Okay, so a rancher just now, a good friend of mine down in Imperial County, he had one, he's got 150 people in his facility. The initial claim for one of these completely made up things, $89 million. That was the initial thing. And then so everyone's hit with these incredibly high things. And so you're a business owner, you haven't got time to go to court and do all this stuff. So what do? It's set out and there's mediation and arbitration and you go through these steps and everyone wants to stop it going to court because if you go to court, you're dead in terms of the money that you spend. So everyone, they know this, the lawyers know this, and so either in mediation or arbitration,